Welcome back to some professional Starcraft 2, a North American cluster showdown between Storm Gaming's Zerg player, Jonsnow, the best Zerg player from America. No, Scarlet is Canadian, unfortunately. We're working on it. And in the bottom right, from the University of Texas, Grandmaster Terran player, Timorous. Competitive, maybe not at that bleeding edge of the professional level, but we're not. Wait, whoa. Maybe he was whenever this game was played. Is this we're on Interloper? Wait a sec. When was the last time? Blast from the. It's like at least 2, maybe 3 years. Right. Okay. So, we'll have to see if battlecruisers shoot while moving. I think this was played recently, but we're gonna find out. It comes as a highlight game, and at the end, after you like and subscribe, you'd be like, I only barely pressed that like button, Winter, because the game was just kind of okay. But you, on the other hand, were slightly worse. Well, if you guys don't remember, Interloper, famous/infamous for having only 2 levels. By that I mean, like, usually there's a double tier up to your high ground and then your natural. Interloper is literally just a flat, even level all the way down your ramp to the other side. Every single base, there is no high-low ground. There's a lot of vision blockers and stuff like that. But we're quite literally on an even playing field. So, first Reaper comes in. This hasn't changed. In fact, first Reaper coming in has been a staple of Terran versus Zerg, at least throughout all of Legacy of the Void, if not most of the time before that. And even if I think this is a recent game. I'm going to yell at Dricket. But even if it isn't, it's still Legacy of the Void. Well, that's not the most incredible Reaper micro I've ever seen. Ideally, you don't want to lose the Reaper for nothing, because then you don't have a Reaper, and you killed nothing. SCV, though, will get it even more. It's from Sugar's Spicy League. Oh, Spicy League with the spiciest maps, the spiciest memes, the spiciest plays. And, yeah, that's it. That's the end of it. That's the slogan for the league, I'm sure. Okay. The Lings, 1v1. Stutter step, not perfect. The Hellions finish things off. I could have just stopped with the spiciest plays. Or memes. Any point. So it is a modern game. The rocks. Oh yeah. The infamous rocks. I feel like part of the reason he's taking down these rocks is to be able to take down the rocks again so they can't be used for a tank push against him. I'm getting flashbacks. And they're not good ones. They're like nightmare flashbacks of, oh god, tanks. Cold, spicy sweat. That's weird. Oh no, the Zergling! Caught between a rock and a hard place. But just in time, the rocks are taken down, and that means the Hellions have no option. Brenda! Oh, I'm just zoning. Okay. It's gonna be battlecruisers. Well, battlecruiser. The question remains, how many battlecruiser? Nowadays, you usually just see the 1, occasionally 2 or 3, but the mass battlecruiser style, now that tactical jump takes a little bit of time, the mass battlecruiser style isn't as common, because Zerg players have kind of just figured out how to deal with it. I like this covering for the Viking. I'm surprised there wasn't a transfuse already. I guess there wasn't the energy. But the Viking actually snipes off an Overlord. Surprising to see. Battlecruiser's halfway done. No Yamato or anything. And he is already starting an armory. So it looks like it's going to be a Battlecruiser Hellbat combination. Adding a little bit more meat to the bone of that attack. Usually a battlecruiser, while annoying and tough to directly deal with, just essentially having queens is more than enough. But you throw a few Hellbats into the mix against someone who just made 12 drones, is at 60 drones, and doesn't have a Roachworn or Baneling Nest. Well, baby, we got a stew going. Battlecruiser jumps into the fray. Hellbats go into bipedal mode, which is something I will never say again. And suddenly the queens find themselves tucked into a corner with nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The Viking on the deck as well will be taken out, but the Hellbats... Warren has rage quit the game, as is appropriate for Warren, the god of Missouri. He just can't stand seeing this bullshit right here. Classic Warren move. Battlecruiser did jump in, which of course means it can't jump. Oh, the barbecue! Well done, 20 drones. But wait, there's more. Timorous, just a single Hellbat, putting another drone on the Barbie. 25, 27. Now remember how many drones Jonsnow made, and remember that that wasn't enough, because now it's 56 SCVs to 42. Okay, John made a few more. Well, John was a greedy, mineral-grubbing snake. And Timorous just came in and appropriated his fair share. And now we're in a game we've seen so many times with Zerg players where the Zerg player gets a little bit greedy, punished for it, and now they have to kind of gamble on the comeback mechanic. Now, Timorous, he didn't have a third command center as quickly because he added on that armory. His production is just now coming online, so the options for attacking again with the same effectiveness is not really there, but he bought himself more than enough space and time to be at an advantage, and of course, the battlecruiser survived, and he's building more. John is gonna have to play keep away. All you can really do is slam out the drones. A lot of the queens survived. Only 2 queens died, so there's still some built-in anti-air. Timorous is not gone for the Yamato cannon, but he's already got +2. Wow, he upgraded +1 mech weapon so quickly. So +2's on the way. That's a big damage upgrade, especially for tanks. Protecting his third. Just a comfortable SCV count. If you're a mech player and you did that much damage, you're feeling good. But you're also understanding that Zerg players can bounce back quickly. That's just how Zerg works with Larva Inject, if they keep their bases going. And John did have some upgrades in layer tech, so he wasn't completely helpless when it came to recovering. Yep, rocks here, rocks here. It's a geological expedition around this map. Oh, the roaches jump on a couple Hellions. They got speed. They got 1-1. Easily ward them away. And or kill. Killing also works. Fourth command center for Timorous. He's got 5 factories online. He opted for 2 battle cruisers. Enough to force out corruptors, but not enough to be the army in and of themselves. They're valuable, but he can afford to lose them if he gets into too dicey of a scenario. That roach, oh my god. It's a painful way to go. Jumps on out of there. Timorous is still, yep. There's a whole lot of rocks. There's a whole lot of work to be done to take down those rocks. He's just going to have to... Well, yeah, a more concerted effort, an archaeological effort to uncover what he can actually... Well, the Hellions have to run all the way around. What I'm getting at and trying to be creative and failing is there are rocks here, There are rocks here. There's like 3 lanes. Like, it's a pretty cool map idea. I wonder if any other games have used it. Where you got a lane, like, it's towards the top side, and then you kind of have a lane in the middle, and then there's like a bottom side lane. And then there are some bases or maybe static defense along the sides. That would be interesting to see in other esports, maybe. But that's kind of what we have here. As the creeps pushing across. The lanes opening up, and the jungle between them. There will still be the vision blockers. Part of the difficulty of this is that you can't actually hit the rocks without having melee units because of the vision blockers. Now that's mostly so that units can't see over the rocks easily, but smart servos on the way. I guess we took a breather for a while, but now both sides. John has 80 drones. Did he build a hive? No hive. Does he have infestation pit? He does. He could start a hive, but this army is dangerous. It's a maxed out +2 mech army. +2 attack finishes for the roaches. John is trying to fight on the field because he doesn't want to fight with his back to a hatchery. He's likely to lose it. Here come the corruptors. A few Thors underneath. High impact mode, making a high impact. 1 battlecruiser goes down. Corruptors cleaning up everything else in the air. A couple Vikings. Battlecruiser has jumped. Doesn't jump away. Now the corruptors are essentially dead weight. The Ravager's trying to push through. Does he have vision? He has vision from a creep tumor under the tanks. That's the only thing giving him vision with ground. Of course, the air units help. More tanks are showing up as Timorous rallies across the map, but John has refilled and reloaded. The tank spread is pretty disgusting, even if there is a lot of creep, and they are +2. He's building 4 tanks at a time. What is this, Brood War? The Ravager count can snipe off, and they don't actually take the extra armor damage. It's just they're so expensive is the issue. More Ravagers coming through. An attack from the north as well, trying to chip away at the tanks. The Ravagers making some headway. And in fact, it looks like the tanks were spread a little bit too thinly, and the Ravagers make some progress in that. Down they go. +3 mech weapons on the way. Timorous has established his 4th and is going for more. Of course, the same can be said for John. He did lose the forward base. There is a tough question on where to expand now, as almost everywhere can be cut off by those tanks. Is the hive? The hive is done. Hive is done. No hive tag yet, but it's on the table. And of course, he does have Corruptors and Aspire. Broodlords, maybe. Vipers, great choice. Broodlords on the table. His base, though. A few drones going down with it. I don't know if returning to mining, I don't know if now's really the time to go back home. Maybe you just need to just stay away from this base for a while. I know you want to work your blue mineral jobs, but it's just not safe. And the hatch goes down. Swarm hosts. I didn't even think about that, but John picking a strong choice to slowly break through the siege lines, understanding that base is going to go down. 12 swarm hosts on the way. Most of these tanks are on siege, though, getting caught on the open field. There is no creep. A couple tanks at the back are sieging, but not enough to really make the difference. They don't have armor upgrades, so the Roach Ravager's kind of pushing through. Timorous bit off more than he could chew with unsieged tanks. The splash damage is important, even if single target is okay. But the swarm hosts have begun. The war of attrition has, this has all been a war of attrition. Timorous has 5 bases. He's just looking to lay down a decisive engagement. He can't quite seem to find it. John is very good at surviving. He hasn't been in a great spot most of this game, if any part of this game. But he's been anything but dead. The closest he's been to dead was probably the beginning on that first Hellbat attack. Opening up the lanes is John. Swarm hosts drop down, but the locusts used on just Hellions are usually not worth it unless they're literally sitting in their base. Opens up one set of rocks. Some friendly fire kills Hellions as well as the locusts. Timorous actually kind of struggling to build up his supply. He's decided to switch into Cyclones, which that's an interesting choice to combat the Swarm host. I imagine the thought process is that, well, siege tanks are vulnerable to the Swarm host, so having Cyclones mobile, you can exploit the timings when the Locusts are on cooldown, which is most of the time. About 2/3. Big Locust wave coming out, but one Hellion gives his life to draw over half of the Locusts away. It's very hard to micro that as a Zerg if they're right on top of you. You got to be super careful to zone them out. And the rest of the Hellions come back in solidarity, but I'd still say 4 Hellions for half that Locust wave. Disaster averted. More Hellions make it through. Oh, I guess there was like a Hellbat or something in there. Wheels go spinning. Greater Spire. What happened to the first Greater Spire? Did he cancel the Greater Spire for some reason? He definitely started a long time ago. Unless Greater Spires take way longer than I think. I don't think they do. Another Locust wave. Jon is forming up for an attack from all angles. Timorous is nearly maxed out again. Build 3 more command centers. Zoning out the Roaches and Ravagers. The Thors, one taken down. But a whole lot of Roach Ravager as well. Let's look at the units lost. Jon has... Well, no. Timorous has lost more, both in minerals and in gas. Of course, he has more to mine from, but the map starts drying out a lot more quickly than you'd expect in a scenario like this. The choke point is pretty devastating here. Jon has to evacuate another base. The mech army is too strong. He pulls back to fight another day. Corruptors making their way alongside the right side. Alongside the right side, yep. Couple turrets there might ward them away. There's not much for the Corruptors to do until they can become Broodword. He's sprayed all over it! The Caustic Spray does a lot of damage after it charges up, and the Locusts are dropping down. The Cyclones will ward away the Corruptors, but that means the Roach Ravager Locust has opened up the center base, the more valuable one. Holding so much ground, the corrosive biles take down SCVs and the planetary alike. And just like that, Jonsnow with the bait and switch. It's almost an entirely battle mech army now. We've gone from some of the most, well, Timorous having some of the most expensive units. Does he not realize he has a fusion core? Timorous with the classic double fusion core play here. A bold move. We'll see what he does with this. He may have forgotten he opened Battlecruiser. It happens to the best of us. And also plenty to the rest of us. Infestors, as Jonsnow tries out every little variety of Zerg unit to see what's going to stick. Timorous has maintained his momentum, but I think losing that center base, even for a short time, because he has more, of course he has more command centers, is going to really set momentum against him. He's been struggling to max out for most of the game, even if he does have the money. And when he has to spend time retaking bases, then Jon is rebuilding and consolidating his unit composition. Yeah, just a couple Fungals combined with the Locust give you so much more strength. And here you go. Oh my god, 3, 4, 5 Cyclones immediately, and a bunch of Hellbats as well. Solid trade there for the Swarm host, but what else is left? Clearing up the creep, the tanks. You're on the clock now. Those Swarm hosts are going to recharge. They'll regrow the Locusts. They'll rain down again. Timorous decides he's going to pull out of this position. He's got +2 mech plating on the way. Liberator range on his backup fusion core. It's a decoy. Setting up... Oh my god. The gates of Zerg Hell. Oh, you don't want to be there. You don't want to come through that. This base is gone. Huge Locust wave coming in. Can Timorous, I guess, deflect it? Can he... Oh, no. Oh, no. The Locust... Jon is microing the Locust perfectly. 3, 4, 5 tanks. Almost the entire tank line. Well, about the back part. Still plenty of tanks for Timorous, but Jon is slowly working his way up. And people make fun of Swarm Hosts, but it's really hard to use them that effectively. And Timorous is finding himself... Are we going into a base trade? Where the Swarm Hosts have to defend, and Timorous is going to lose the base in the center. It's not a planetary. He's got planetaries on the other sides. But we're on the clock until the next Locust wave here. A lot of tech is going down. The center base has been saved. A lot of the Roach Ravager pulls back. Swarm Hosts dropping on top of the tanks, opening up an opportunity for those ground units to actually get damage done without getting obliterated. More Locusts going towards the front. Cyclones eliminated. Roach Ravager running through the gap, but there's not enough tanks to stop them. And Timorous is knocked back to 100 supply. Jonsnow's struggling at 160. Neither player has particularly much mineral mining, but Jon has expanded to the top right. 56 to 68 workers in favor of the Terran, and Timorous maintained that center base. He's dropping mules, and suddenly he finds, oh my, that is not as dramatic as I expected it to be, but, well. The Liberator gets a shot off, and then it gets shot down. More Liberators sent out. Is there a single Corruptor? There are 3 out there. They may have been forgotten in the fray. Tanks well lined up, but here come the Locusts. Just a handful to start. Not going to use the whole wave. Gonna do it tower defense style. Another tank. He doesn't want to unsiege because then the Roach Ravager come in. They're coming in anyways. Where's the target fire? Liberator siege up. Couple tanks survive, and the Liberators complicate things because the Ravagers still can't get in range to... Jon has been leaning on the Ravagers this whole time. Locusts, despite their flight, do not shoot up. Corrosive Bile is not a super reliable tactic for dealing with ranged Liberators. Or Cyclones. Another Liberator going to work, but there's no minerals left here either. The larva isn't a terrible target. Not that Jon has too much money. This base... The Corruptors finally spurred into action. They're on the chase. Queens, come on, man. Meanwhile, Roach Ravager on the right, trying to engage, not finding an opportunity. Timorous still a little down in supply. Oh, the Corruptors were lazy! Get over there, come on! Oh, no! This is a critical amount of drones. He's microing Locusts while his drones are slaughtered, even if he kills the base. Oh, 17 every drone! Liberation on every drone! A disaster for Jonsnow. Despite his army supply, replacing those drones is almost impossible at this stage. He's gonna struggle so much, and he doesn't have the most cost-effective units of all time. It's not like he has a whole bunch of Infestor Broodlord. No, he's got Roaches and Ravagers and Corruptors. Few Infestors mixed in, some Swarm Hosts. But now suddenly Timorous has the initiative. Once again, the Corruptors are gone. Corrosive Biles knocked down a Liberator, but another one is waiting there for the opportunity to replace it. The Locusts taking the long flight of shame. Will they even land before they die? They shouldn't. A couple will. The rest, shame. Suddenly it looks like Timorous, untouched economically for a few minutes, has all the momentum he needs to lay down a closing move. More Locusts just being whipped out here. I'm not sure where he expects the Terran army to be. Obviously, Jonsnow struggling with this scenario, but wait! A FUNGAL! A FUNGAL! Liberation for the Liberators! All the Liberators in the worst possible spot! Suddenly, the Ravagers with an ultra kill! The only scenario that could have possibly saved Jonsnow. The Liberators getting way too intimate, and the Ravagers taking advantage of it. It wasn't like a game winner, but it keeps him in the game, which is the first step. Meanwhile, the Locusts will be okay. The planetary will be saved. Still, though. How many Liberators have gone down now? 11. I think like 7 or 8 of them were right there. Jon survives, despite all odds. Well, I mean, he still has the Swarm Host. 1 Infestor was all he had. Oh, this is a little awkward. Swarm hosts are starting to die, though. He might win that battle, but the war is still very much in doubt. 40 drones against 70 SCVs. Barely 2 mining bases against easily 3. There's one more infestor pops out. Can there be one more fungal of the juiciest proportion? Oh, what? That swarm host killed a base and 22 SCVs! Both players getting caught or not quite paying attention. The scan. Wait a second. Okay. That backstab. The same thing happened to Jonsnow. When he pushed forward to attack, he took a bunch of economic damage back at home. Now Timorous feels that pain. Okay, the fungals are everything. That's huge. Massive! Is it enough to actually kill the clones? He kills some of them. Timorous is under 100 supply. How are you going to deal with the Liberators? Oh, the Liberators unsiege! He target fires the clones! The Liberators really want to siege. Oh god, Cyclones are so cost effective in such low numbers. 2 Zerglings doing their absolute best! They're trying! Oh my... They're doing what they can. The drone count, SCV count, but of course, mules. The main base has yet to be lifted, which is the ultimate sign of panic. Jonsnow does not give up, but he's fighting an uphill battle on a map with literally no uphill battles. Triple lock. Oh, he goes for some locks onto the hatch as well. Not going to risk it. Lings and Banes. The poor man's Roach. Actually, he has +3 melee and +2 carapace. He just doesn't have adrenal glands, which would be nice, but... Scans to make sure. Oh, he goes for the locks, and the Cyclones can back away. Catches a couple with fungal. Oh, and he saves the base. The battles are smaller. The stakes are higher. Oh no! He looked away! He looked away! And suddenly... Well, though, at the same time, though, a Liberator killed 14 kills, 8 drones. Oh my, they just seem to be... where did these SCVs come from? Very dangerous game they're playing. Also, considering he sent them into a bunch of Zerglings, which he sees, both players are hitting the other at exactly the time they're not looking, because they're hitting on the other side of the map simultaneously. That's what that means. At the same time simultaneously, believe it or not. Oh my god, this SCV transfer is stressing me out. Stop doing... Oh, somehow, like, 7 SCVs make it, but you gotta figure out what's going on, Magellan. Somehow, they've both scratched out their economies. I definitely think Timorous had the advantage, but Jonsnow has made huge plays to keep himself going. Ranged Liberator, plenty of Corrosive Bile, Lings and Banes zone out. Another important part of the Lings and Banes is they eat the Cyclone lock-ons. It's impossible to target fire the lock-ons. Usually it's just A-click and let the Cyclone lock on whoever's closest. And if you're just making Roach Ravager, the Cyclone always has a good target to lock onto. But if it's Lings and Banes, well, you can afford to lose a Ling or Bane if it means your Ravagers and Roaches will live. So a great addition to the composition there, just for that. Oh, and there wasn't a planetary. More SCV's gonna die. The army, there's a little spurt of creep over here. The Fungal's reaching forward, and Jonsnow wraps his arms around and crushes the army. Timorous found he had no minerals. He lost his base, and John barely by however many corrosive biles on Liberators and so much more. Timorous couldn't close it, and John snuck through. What a game. Thank you to Dricket for bringing me that. Thank you to Sugar's Spicy Rush, or Spicy Cup, or Spicy Meatballs, or whatever it is. But thank you for bringing us this Spicy League. That's the one. That's the one. But hopefully you enjoyed my breakdown. If you did, like it and subscribe and ring the bell and all of that, and why didn't he just do this or that or this? I don't know. You tell me what they should have done. Make sure to leave those comments. Keep it up. Thank you for watching. Good luck and have fun.